Okay, well, I've been teasing it for a while, but today we're finally going to talk about the thing that everyone wants to talk about. Let's talk about the weapons on the Imperial-Class Star Destroyer, and what made this ship so formidable in ship-to-ship combat. I'm Colin, this is IS December, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So one of the criticisms that people often make of the Imperial-Class Star Destroyer, and it's not unfounded, is that the ship leans very heavily on turbolasers, and that is ultimately a weak stance to take when facing an enemy that primarily uses light starfighters. But that is still a really impressive way to outfit a battleship, and today we're going to talk about maybe the most impressive part of an ISD's complement, and that is its weapons. Now, before we dive in, I want to make a clear distinction here. Unlike the hangars and complement, which we talked about last week, which didn't change much in between the ISD-1 and the ISD-2, this changes a lot. So we're going to start with the ISD-1's weapons layout, and then we'll talk about the ISD-2. Now, before people point it out, I know this is an Imperial-2 class Star Destroyer. I just have an ISD-2 here. I do not have a model of an ISD-1. So let's jump right in. So the main weapons on an Imperial-1 class Star Destroyer were its heavy turbolaser batteries, which were lined up on either side of the ship's superstructure. There were 6 heavy turbolaser turrets on either side, and each one would have had 2 laser cannons. Now you may be wondering, there's 8 turret slots on either side, and that didn't change between the ISD-1 and the ISD-2, so how are there only 6 heavy dual turbolaser turrets? Well, it's because the back 2 were ion cannons. On the Imperial-1 class Star Destroyer, the 2 heavy turrets in the back were actually heavy ion cannons designed to disable ships for boarding or just intense bombardment. The only other place on the Imperial-1 class Star Destroyer that we know for a fact had additional turreted weapon systems, because the rest of it's kind of scattered throughout the hull, and I'll read out those numbers in a sec, are the medium triple turbolaser turrets, which were located right here at the front of the superstructure, that were designated primarily as defensive weapons to protect the ship's command structure from any adversaries that come in above the vessel hoping to get a clean shot. But on top of that, there's a variety of heavy weapons scattered all across the Star Destroyer, including 60 XX-9 heavy turbolaser turrets, 60 NK-7 ion cannons used for disabling vessels, 2 firm heavy turbolaser emplacements which were placed on the bottom of the vessel and used for orbital bombardments, 2 more medium turbolaser emplacements which were also placed on the bottom and also intended for orbital bombardment purposes, but also for engaging ships beneath the vessel, and an array of 10 Q-7 tractor beam projectors for capturing ships that may be trying to escape the Imperial-Class Star Destroyer. Now, midway through the ISD's career in the Imperial Navy, it was replaced, or began the process of being replaced, by the Imperial-2 class Star Destroyer. This saw its weapons complement greatly modified, and a lot of Imperial-1s would actually undergo a modification to bring them up to the specifications of an Imperial-2 class Star Destroyer, which ends up having an entirely different complement of weapons, so let's just jump right into that. The first and most prominent, and the one that's the most fun to say, is 8 octuple barbette turbolaser batteries. Those are placed along either side of the superstructure in place of those heavy dual turbolasers on the ISD-1 and those heavy ion cannons. These are just direct fire weapons designed to engage enemy ships and pack one hell of a punch. And with 8 barrels per turret, that's an extensive punch. On top of that, 6 dual batteries of concussion missile launchers were added throughout the vessel to provide missile capabilities for a Star Destroyer that initially was entirely turbolasers, but some things were removed. To improve fire coordination, the 3 turrets at the front of the superstructure were replaced with a fire coordination center, which was used to coordinate fire for all of the ISD-2's weapons, which, by the way, still included 60 XX-9 heavy turbolaser batteries and 60 NK-7 ion cannons that were scattered around the vessel. Those stayed the same. And lastly, the Imperial-2 class Star Destroyer maintained its array of 10 Q-7 heavy tractor beams for capturing vessels that were attempting to escape. But they did swap out the tractor beam coordinator and emitter, which was on the top of the vessel, with a new emitter located at the front of the vessel, which was slightly less accurate and less capable. It's clear that the ISD-2 was more geared towards engaging other ships in direct ship-to-ship combat. A very weird choice made, seeing the enemy that was at this point brewing against the Galactic Empire that seemed to favor light starfighter attacks, something that this vessel was just ill-prepared for. Luckily, to counter starfighters when they were sent against this vessel, the Empire had a pretty sizable complement of TIE fighters on board. If you'd like to learn about the complement on board or anything else about the Imperial-Class Star Destroyer, I'll leave a link up here to a playlist I'm building of all of the IS December videos covering different systems from across this massive vessel. And if you have any other systems you'd like to see covered in future videos in this series, you can leave those down below in the comments, and I'll try my best to add them to the queue. And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover from outside this series, anywhere else in Star Wars or anywhere in science fiction, you can also leave that down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.